Have you ever sat in a quiet room, looked around, and thought, is this it now? Not sad, necessarily, but still there's a weight in the silence. The house that once echoed with voices, laughter, maybe even little footsteps, now it holds only you. And sometimes that stillness feels heavier than noise ever did. If you found yourself here, whether you live alone by choice or by circumstance, I want you to know something. Being alone in old age isn't a punishment. It might just be the greatest gift you've ever been given. But, and this is important, only if you know how to unwrap it the right way. For many people between the ages of 60 and 100, this chapter of life comes with unexpected turns. Loved ones move away, friends pass on, children grow busy in their own orbits, and suddenly, that time you once wished for, quiet, slow, peaceful, is here. But now that it is, you might not be sure what to do with it. You are not alone in that feeling. We were never taught how to be alone. Not really. From childhood, we were always surrounded by someone. Family, schoolmates, coworkers, spouses, neighbors. Being alone was something rare. But now, it's a new reality. And here's the truth that might surprise you. Solitude, when embraced with intention, can become one of your most powerful forms of healing. I know someone, let's call her Aunt Clara. She lost her husband at 72 after a long, quiet marriage. Her children had grown and moved far. At first, her days were heavy with silence. She'd sit by the window for hours, watching the breeze through the trees, feeling like life had already made up its mind about her. But something shifted one morning when she said to herself, I don't want to just wait anymore. I want to live again, even if I have to do it by myself. And that's where the journey begins for so many of us. Not with someone else swooping in to save us, but with our own decision to start where we are. So if you find yourself alone right now, wondering what's next, let's talk about the first of 3 healing things that can change the meaning of solitude for you. The first thing is reconnecting with yourself through memory and through presence. So often, we think of being alone as a lack of others. But what if being alone is actually your first chance in decades to fully meet yourself again? What if you pulled out those old photo albums, not just to feel nostalgia, but to remember the person you were, the person you still are beneath all the layers of responsibility you carried for years? When was the last time you sat with a memory from your childhood, not to mourn it, but to understand it better? Maybe you remember riding your bike down a dusty road in summer, chasing fireflies with bare feet, or the smell of your mother's cooking on a Sunday morning. Those memories aren't just old, they're yours. They are your roots, and returning to them can be a form of healing, like turning your face back to the sun. You see, we spend much of our adult life giving ourselves away, to careers, to children, to spouses, to responsibilities. But now, this time alone gives you permission to come back to the parts of yourself that may have been buried under busy. You're allowed to rediscover what brings you joy, what soothes your soul, what still makes your heart feel young. For Aunt Clara, it was painting. She hadn't picked up a brush since she was 30, but she went to the closet one day, pulled out an old box of watercolors, and began again. Not for anyone else, not to sell or display, just for her. It felt like meeting an old friend again, she said, and I'd missed her. The second healing thing you can do is build routines that honor your pace, not society's. When you're alone, the clock isn't dictated by someone else's needs. There's no pressure to rush breakfast or finish chores before company arrives. But too often, that freedom can turn into aimlessness, and that's when loneliness starts to feel suffocating. What helps is rhythm, a gentle, meaningful routine. Maybe it starts with waking up slowly, greeting the morning sun with a quiet prayer or thought of gratitude. You make your favorite tea, sit by the window, and let the warmth seep into your bones. Then perhaps you write a short note in a journal, not about problems, but about moments. Something you saw yesterday, a bird on the balcony, a smile you shared with the postman. These small things, when noticed, become lifelines of beauty. Give yourself anchor points in your day. Things to look forward to. A short walk in the afternoon, an audiobook you listen to while folding clothes, a favorite show you save just for evening. These aren't trivial things. They are signs that your life is still rich with rhythm, that it still has shape and story. And the third thing, which we'll begin to explore next, is something many overlook. Using this time to heal emotional wounds that were buried during busier years. Because solitude, while peaceful, often brings up echoes from the past. And now, you have the space to listen. And finally, let go. But before we get there, I want to leave you with this thought. Being alone isn't the same as being lonely. In fact, solitude might be your soul's way of saying, now, finally, it's time for you. Time to hear your own thoughts again, to tend to your heart, to light your own fire instead of waiting for someone else to do it. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. This stage of life is not the closing of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter that you get to write fully and freely. Let's return to where we left off. You've started to reconnect with yourself through quiet reflection, old memories, and routines that feel like they belong to you. Maybe you've even noticed something surprising. Being alone isn't just about missing others. It's about rediscovering what's been quietly waiting inside you all along. But something else begins to surface as we spend time in solitude, something that can stir up restlessness, even pain. It's those emotional echoes from the past, things we never had time to deal with, regrets, guilt, words we never said, relationships that ended in silence, losses that we buried under work, duty, or distraction. That leads us into the second healing thing we must do. Face the feelings we've spent a lifetime avoiding and begin, finally, to make peace with them. You see, being alone gives us the space to hear what we used to drown out. And while that may sound frightening at first, it can also be the start of deep healing. The quiet of old age can act like a mirror, showing you not only the wrinkles on your face, but also the scars in your heart. And here's the beauty in that. Once you see them, you can tend to them. You can clean out what's festered. You can forgive yourself and others. And you can let go of things that no longer belong to your present life. I remember a man named Mr. Rowland. He lived alone in a small apartment just above the bakery. He was 84. For years, people thought he was just a quiet, kind old man who loved crossword puzzles. But one day, while chatting over coffee, he shared that he'd carried a regret for 40 years. He hadn't spoken to his brother since they argued at their father's funeral. I always meant to call, he said, looking out the window, but then life got full, and then too much time passed, and now it's too late. There was pain in his voice. Not loud, not dramatic, just real. That kind of slow ache that builds over decades. But then he said something else. Still, I talk to him sometimes. I say the things I never got to say. Maybe he hears me, maybe that's enough. And you know what? Maybe it is. Because healing in old age doesn't always mean fixing what's broken. Sometimes it means blessing the scar and moving forward lighter. It means whispering the apology into the wind, or writing a letter you'll never send. It means recognizing that forgiveness isn't something you give only to others, it's something you give to yourself too. So if your quiet time brings up memories of things unsaid or undone, don't push them away. Sit with them. Name them. Say, yes, that happened, and I am still here, and I am still worthy of peace. Let yourself grieve what you've lost, the person who passed, the relationship that faded, even the version of you that no longer exists. Grieving doesn't mean giving up. It means honoring what mattered, and once you've honored it, you make space for something new to grow, even now. But healing isn't just emotional, it's also spiritual. And this is where the power of solitude shines most brightly, because in the quiet, you can begin to listen for something deeper than just your own thoughts. You can listen for your soul's voice, that still small whisper that says, you are not done yet. There is more life in you. There is more purpose, even now. Spiritual connection doesn't have to be religious, though it can be, if that's your path. It can be as simple as sitting outside under the morning sun and feeling your breath. It can be reading something that stirs your spirit, or planting something and watching it grow, knowing that life still chooses you. Every single day you wake up, life is saying, here, another chance. Many people don't realize that the latter part of life is often when spiritual awakening deepens. The distractions are fewer. The expectations have loosened. There's time now to ask the big questions. What really matters to me? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? Who do I still want to become? And what a beautiful gift it is to ask those questions at a time when you're not trying to impress anyone or meet anyone's standards. This is your time to walk gently with your own truth. That's what solitude allows. Not loneliness, but sacred space. And as you begin to embrace this healing solitude, something strange and lovely starts to happen. You start to glow again. Others notice. Maybe it's the way your eyes sparkle when you speak about something that matters to you, or the quiet confidence in how you move through your day, or the kindness you now offer others, because you've learned to offer it to yourself first. Being alone doesn't mean being forgotten. It means being returned to yourself, to your story, to your spirit. So let this time be sacred. Let it be full. Let it be honest. Cry if you need to. Laugh more than you expect. Speak kindly to your reflection in the mirror. You've walked through so much, and now, finally, you have a space to breathe. And next, we'll look at something incredibly powerful, perhaps the most unexpected part of being alone in your later years, the chance to create new connections in a new way that don't just fill time, but fill the heart. Yes, even now, even if you think you're too old or set in your ways, you're not. There is still so much ahead. You've already taken the first 2 steps. You've made space for yourself again and begun to face what needed healing from the past. Now, something incredible begins to happen. It's not always loud or obvious. In fact, it often starts as a small tug, a curiosity, a gentle stirring in the chest. You begin to wonder, what now? And that, my friend, is where the third and perhaps most surprising piece of healing begins. Reaching forward to create new, soul-nourishing connections. I know it sounds unexpected. After all, we've spent so much time talking about solitude, about being okay with being alone, and yet it's in that very space of self-acceptance and inner peace that something even more beautiful becomes possible. Connection by choice, not obligation. Friendship that's not based on routine or proximity, but on meaning. Because once you've learned to be your own best companion, you stop settling for empty company. You start to look for people who speak to your spirit, not just fill a chair across from you. And believe me, those people are out there, even now. Take Mrs. Land, for instance. She was 76 when her husband passed and her children moved far away. For months, she barely spoke to anyone. Her days were silent, save for the soft murmur of the television or the creak of the wooden floor. She had convinced herself that the world had moved on and that her time for making new connections had passed. But one day, on a whim, she joined a small community gardening club at the local church. She didn't even like gardening. She just missed being near others who smiled. She went once, then again, then again. 3 months later, she wasn't just tending to tomato plants. She was laughing over lunch with a woman who'd also lost her spouse, making tea for a gentleman who once taught biology at a high school she remembered, and helping a young mother grow herbs for her sick child. Her life hadn't just been filled with noise again. It had been filled with purpose. That's the thing. When you show up as your whole self, scarred, real, unpolished, you invite others to do the same. The loneliness doesn't vanish overnight, but it starts to feel less sharp, less cold. Because now you have people who understand, people who see you, not as someone old, but as someone alive. And here's something else many don't realize until later in life. You have wisdom people need. You've lived through eras, heartbreaks, joys, and lessons that no textbook can teach. There are younger folks out there, grandchildren, neighbors, even strangers, who are quietly hoping to find someone like you, not for advice or approval, but for presence, for stories, for truth. Have you ever sat with someone younger and seen their eyes widen as you described a world without cell phones? Or how your mother used to cook during the war? Or what it felt like to fall in love before things got so complicated? That's not just nostalgia. That's legacy. That's healing, passed forward. So yes, being alone may be where healing begins, but reaching out is how it continues. Not by clinging, not by chasing, but by offering your heart again, gently, without expectation. By saying, I'm still here, I still have love to give, and I'm open to receiving it too. Start simple. A smile to a neighbor, a short note to an old friend. Join a book circle or a walking group. Volunteer once a month. Call your grandchild, even if they don't always pick up. Show up, even quietly, and see what returns to you. And if no one comes right away, that's okay too. Let your connection begin with the world itself. Talk to the trees on your morning walk. Sing while you cook. Pet the dog on the corner. Greet the sun like it's a friend. Connection isn't always about people. It's about presence. About remembering that you are part of something bigger, still. So now, as we close this journey together, I ask you, what if being alone at this stage of life isn't a punishment, but a permission slip? What if it's the gift of time? Time to reflect, to forgive, to grow, to love again differently. You have this chapter. You're living it now, and no one gets to define it but you. Let others say what they will about aging. Let them rush around trying to stay young. But you are doing something braver. You are standing still and facing life as it is. That is courage. That is grace. So light your candle. Make your tea. Sit quietly or laugh loudly. Reach out or rest alone. Dance barefoot if your knees let you. Or just sway in your chair to music only you can hear. You are not alone. Not really. Not when you carry your own soul with tenderness. Not when you speak kindly to your memories. Not when you open your heart to life, even now. And remember this, being alone in old age might just be the best thing that ever happened to you, if you let it heal you. If this message touched your heart today, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. If you'd like more stories and reflections like this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you know and keeps this little circle of wisdom growing. You never know how your voice might be the light someone else has been waiting for. And if you're still here listening, thank you for your time, your spirit, and the quiet strength you carry. Until next time, take care of yourself. You matter more than you know.